You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is family that loves you and educates you on how to be a better person, make the world a better place, leave behind a better things, and get a hold on any sort of traumas or issues you're having and stuff. And of course, we just do the learning over here. We do lots of learning. So you can learn how to be a better person, how to achieve more things in your life, and of course, collecting some of the great stories of life, as we call the lessons of life. But we need your participation slightly, other than your loyal listening. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 81 on the TikTokity, and ChrisVossFacebook.com. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book success. Today we had an amazing man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book called The Investigation Officer's File, out February 3rd, 2021, by Dallas Clark. He is a multi-book author, and he's had an extensive career of pulling I'm sure, life experience and that he pulls into his novels. He is, he's a BA at 65 and JD at 68 from Wake Forest University. I believe that's probably, what is that, a college degree? Is that what that is there, Dallas? You volunteered?
A Bachelor of Art in Political Science, yes.
Bachelor of Art? And
Bachelor of Art.
Okay. He volunteered for the Marines, earned a second lieutenant's commission in December of 1968, the year I was born. Completed Infantry Leadership School and Naval Justice School, volunteered to serve in Vietnam and got his wish. He was assigned military council duties with the 3rd Marine Division in Vietnam. Also served in the Philippines and Okinawa. He was selected chief trial counsel for the division in Okinawa, had a bounty on his head while he was in Okinawa. That's got to be fun. Released from active duty, 3 years as assistant public defender, began private practice in 1974. He became a specialist in family law, retired in 2014. 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren. That's a lot of work there. So welcome to the show, Dallas. How are you?
Chris,
Dallas?
I'm fine. I'm honored to be on and appreciate you letting me spend some time with you.
It's an honor to have you as well. You've lived a hell of a life.
Can you hear me all right?
I'm getting you. Are you getting me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I am.
I think we might have a little bit delay, but we'll figure through it. So
I
Dallas,
can hear you. I guess I don't know if you can hear me.
I think there's a little delay. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
So give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find out more about you on the website?
I got a website, dallasclarkauthor.com. It's got something about each of my books. It also has the reviews from Amazon for all 3 of them, and I was very pleased with those. The book we're going to talk about, The Investigation Officer's File, is the first book I ever wrote. And I was very pleased, Chris, with the response that came on Amazon. I mean, I didn't know anything at all about Amazon and grading books and all that sort of thing. But there's some nice things. I think there are 46 reviews on there. Most of them are very nice, and the rating is close to a 5. So I'm pretty pleased.
That is actually really good. That is really good, actually. We see a lot of books that don't have any ratings, and looks like it hit a nerve and people love it. So give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside this book.
I'm sorry, say again.
Give us a 30,000 overview of what's in the book.
Okay. When I reported to Vietnam, I got a job as a defense counsel. I'd never tried a case before I got to Vietnam. And so they put me in the defense shop. And when they did that, I said, well, I don't understand why you did that, because I haven't tried a case. And the man said, well, the government likes to win, and so we're going to pick on you a little bit. And so that's kind of what happened. And two prosecuting officers came to me and said, we prosecuted, and the military panel convicted a man for accessory after the fact of the murder of a lieutenant who was sleeping. They threw a fragmentation grenade under him when he was sleeping, killed him.
Wow.
But we now think he might be innocent. So we want you to investigate the trial, reinvestigate the trial of the crime. So when I had the epiphany of writing a novel, this particular thing came to mind. And so what I did, Chris, was dramatize some of the actual experiences we had in checking out the truth of that case. We had a polygraph. We had a truth serum situation. I re-interviewed witnesses, and I ended up with, I think, a real good twister with a lot of twists and turns. One of the people on the reviews said it was Grisham-like, which is quite the compliment to me. It doesn't do much for John Grisham, but it made me feel pretty good about it. And man, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do, and so I had some fun publishing that book.
That's a good plug there. So tell us about the protagonist. Who's the main character?
That's a great question, Chris. I'm the main character. My name is Woody White. It turns out there's a Woody White lawyer in North Carolina practicing for about 120 miles from here. Anyway, I came up with that name because two of my fraternity brothers, the first name was Woody and my roommate's name was White. So I combined those two guys, kind of a homage to them, and decided Woody would be the protagonist. It starts out with me going to officer candidate school. The first word in the novel is maggot, MAGGOT, because that's what they called us at OCS, officer candidate school. So I got a little taste of officer candidate school, get out of that and go to Naval Justice School, dramatize that. And then I went to sophomore in high school. My father died. And what I did to show the background of Woody as he was growing up for the novel was to go back to the very day that my dad died, with a phone call, and tried to dramatize as much as I could, leaving readers looking for something else. For example, before the dream sequence, I said, I wondered what my dad would think of me as a lawyer going to Vietnam, but I would never know because of a 3 a.m. telephone call. And I ended the chapter. Now, I'm hoping that the reader will read that and wonder what that 3 a.m. phone call was about, which I lead into the next chapter. So that's kind of a trick. A lot of authors do it. It's certainly not new to me, but I've tried to do that and keep the people turning the pages and buying the books.
Yeah, that's
Vietnam. Woody gets to Vietnam, tries a case, has the captain, whom he gets the best of, and goes out to the combat base where the lieutenant was killed, and I actually did that. Vandergrift Combat Base, which is below the DMZ. And then I get on a ship, come back to Okinawa, where eventually I made and that's where a lot of the book takes place because we're doing investigations there. And so it was fun. It was fun to revisit it and dramatize it.
We've had a lot of great authors on the show who come from backgrounds of law or maybe police or military, and they utilize a lot of their stories they collected during that time to help paint better pictures, and they can kind of pull from those stories and of course change the names a little bit and everything else. And so that's really cool that you have that thing. Now I notice you have 3 books. Was this the first book you wrote, or were there the other 2 lead ups to this one?
It was.
Mm-hmm. And
this
and
is
what
the
made
first
you
book, and
what made you want to write it? What was the motivator? Did you think you could write books? I mean, this is your first book. What did you think the lead up on was to it?
that's such a great question, because I never thought about writing a book until I bought a book, a softback book because I saw the name of the author, and I read something he'd written and I liked. And I read 4 pages of that book, Chris, and said it was awful. It really was terrible. Very, very arrogantly said, well, I can write a better book than that. And lo and behold, about, I don't know, 5 years later, the thought crossed my mind. I said, well, I'm going to start writing a book. So I did. And this subject about my in the Marine Corps of Vietnam was a perfect subject for the book. That was the inspiration.
That's pretty funny. We had a prolific novelist on the show, and I think it was romance novels, and she's written like dozens or maybe 100. And she did it because she read a couple romance novels and she was like, these suck. I can do better. And so she did. So congratulations on that. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Tell us about your life in your words. What was it like growing up? Why did you want to join the military? Why did you want to serve in Vietnam? And some of the things that shaped you over your life that you think maybe influenced you on being a great author.
Well, I think I had a wonderful, wonderful time growing up. Greenville's a great town. Greenville, North Carolina is a great town. Have a great little league baseball program. That is terrific. I played there, but then I fell in love with golf when I was too old to play little league baseball. And that was my sport of choice. I also played football at the high school. Went to Wake Forest, got the undergraduate degree in political science. While I was at Wake Forest, Chris, some friends, 2 fraternity brothers and I went to Washington, D.C. on spring break and went to Senator Irvin's office. It turned out that his administrative assistant knew me and knew my family. And when we were talking to him, he asked us what we majored in. And when I said political science, he said, boy, you need to go to law school. That's the first time I thought about going to law school. So I knew I was in the Army ROTC. That would have conflicted with law school. They had a contract in the middle of law school. I said, I really ought to serve. I had a friend who'd been to OCS at Quantico in the Marines, and he told me how hard it was. And I just wanted a challenge. So at that time, Vietnam was on the 4th page of the newspaper. When I signed up, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I knew from political science, I had a great education at Wake Forest, that we shouldn't have been there. And I think time has proven that to be the case.
Yeah.
But I went to OCS and we had an opportunity. Marine Corps kind of fooled you and said, please tell us where you'd like to go to serve when you get out of OCS. Like they cared.
Like they cared.
They were going to send us wherever they needed us. So I put Vietnam 3 times, and it wasn't really stupid. It was hot. It was hot then. Ted had occurred. It was a lot of people getting killed and a lot of controversy. This is 1968. And a lot of controversy about Vietnam. Had the march and all that. So I put it down there because I figured that I didn't want to go to Vietnam at the end of my tour, come back to California, get released from active duty, and not came back. If I went and got badly wounded, it wouldn't matter so much. But if I went and made it, it would be perfect. So that's what I did. And it turned out that I had a Vietnam tour that only lasted 2.5 months because President Nixon came up with a Vietnamization program and send our unit to Okinawa, where I practiced there. So,
Oh, wow. Interesting times those were.
that's
The
kind of
70s.
it.
And so then you go into practicing law?
Came back home and went to Greensboro and was in the public defender's office, did criminal law for 3 years, then came back to Greenville, practiced with a firm for 6 years, left the firm and was on my own for 25 years, working, as they say, without a net. That was interesting. But I got around and did a lot of cases in Eastern North Carolina. And then in 04, I went 2014. And that was very interesting. It was a great firm. I had a good time and enjoyed the practice. Mainly for almost exclusively marital law. And as you probably know, Chris, it's tough on everybody. Nobody seems to ever win a case.
True.
But I enjoyed it. Felt like I did a good job.
That's a good point. There's no winners in divorce court, I think.
Yes, sir.
It's, I mean, even if one person kind of gets more than the other person, I think the kids, you create generational trauma with the children, and that spills over and over. As becoming an author, and you've written 3 books, I guess, right? Correct? 3
Yes,
books?
sir.
Yeah. You did being an attorney, writing and speaking and telling stories to the judge, telling stories through the dockets and forums that you present to the courts. Did that help you in writing the books?
Chris, I think it did. When you have a case, when it first comes in, you interview the client, figure out what the facts are, what the other side's got, and you really try to put together in the case you present in court, if it gets to court, your story, your version of what happened. And I've noticed, been more aware of it since I wrote the first book and the other 2 books. There are a lot of lawyers that write books. I'm not saying they're all really good. Of course, John Grisham is a prime example.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it goes with the territory. I think it's a very interesting question and a perceptive question that you pose, because trial lawyers, I mean, you got lawyers that are transactional lawyers, that are estate lawyers. They don't have the same kind of lookout on the law that we do. Trial lawyers do. Every trial is a totally different story. You got different actors, different facts, different judges, different police officers, different husbands and wives, and you have to be ready and nimble on your feet to present the story that makes sense. In my novels, in the novel that we're talking about, there are 2 or 3 court scenes. And when I was structuring those, I really put my trial hat on, so to speak, mentally. You have to get in the right frame of mind to write a novel. And it was real easy to write the trial scenes that I had that had never happened before to me. So I think trial lawyers have a real good knack for writing novels, and a lot of them, of course, are about the law. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Speaking indictment, that was a term I was thinking of when, like, DAs or district attorneys or people with people prosecuting the federal cases, they call them sometimes speaking indictments, and it's a story of what happened and what the complaint is, and you have to lay all that out in a legalese and make it make sense. But you have to hone that story, right? Because if you suck at it, you're probably going to put the jury to sleep in your opening statement, right?
The opening statement is very important. You're exactly right. And of course, the government's indictment, I didn't do federal law. I did state law, but it's the same thing. The district attorneys in the state drafted the indictments, and they were pretty good about making sure they touched all the elements of the crime in the indictment. And it's my job as a defense lawyer, if I'm doing that, to first of all find out whether they can prove their case or not. when you're in a marital case, like cases I had, or a military case, the same kind of thing. You just got to build your case and spend as much time getting your case ready as you do preparing to attack the other side. It's a lot of fun to cross-examine, Chris. It really is. And to prepare to cross-examine, I've had a lot of fun doing that over the years. and I know a good trial lawyer who's a DA, and you could tell when he got in a zone. And I've been on the other side of that. I mean, you have to have your A game to beat those people. I really do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been on the side in civil court in suing and getting sued and shakedown lawsuits. I've dealt with some $1,200 an hour attorneys that thought they were Perry Mason, but I figured out how to dodge them.
How's that?
You do what John Gotti did on the stand. You play dumb. I learned it from John Gotti's attorney. But the key is you make them repeat the question 3 to 4 times and you play dumb, like you just can't understand it. So the first fastball they shoot at you is their fastball hardball. And you go, I don't understand the question. Can you explain it to me again? You make them break it down like 3 or 4 times until the judge finally implores you to answer the question. And then you just keep doing that. And it throws them off their game. Like when you get successful, you get lots of shakedown lawsuits. I'm
sure you do.
People with money, and you have employees steal from you. You have competitors sue you. The lawsuits just come a shakedown. And so I've been in a few of those. We had one of my employees on the stand who quit our company and sued us for 100% of the sales that he'd invoiced, he'd written, right? Well, in our business of only 50% close. So it was a shakedown lawsuit just to get us to pay him off. And so I remember we put him on the stand. So why did you sue Chris Voss's company? Because he's rich. It's like, you said that on the fucking stand of the Q&A. Wow. That is just crazy, man. We won in the end. But, it's telling stories. And so, folks, if you're an aspiring writer, go be an attorney.
That's a long way to go. Let me tell you,
long way to go.
3 years in a law exam. I think there are easy ways to become a writer.
Do you ever think maybe you should have skipped to the end? Maybe at the start, maybe focused on writing first?
I don't think so. I don't think I would have had anywhere near the experiences to write about. And the other thing, you said something very interesting. Every novel that I've written, I didn't know how it was going to end.
Oh.
This particular book, The Investigation Officer's File, starts out at Officers Candidate School, very briefly, goes to Naval Justice School. I didn't think about Naval Justice School when I started writing it. I thought about the Vietnam experience, but I did not have any idea, Chris, how the story would end. And I worked and worked and worked. And I remember trying to come up with all the open doors and closed doors and things that the reader would find, boy, I need to turn the page to figure out what happened. And I actually had to write out and diagram the end of the story because it was kind of tricky. And it ended up being, I thought, a good ending. In fact, the main character, Woody White, the lawyer, doesn't even appear in the novel in the last few pages because that was the way it ended. And I had a friend of mine who read the book and liked the book, and she said that she was wondering what happened to Woody, and that was the first time I thought about writing a second book. And then that ended up after a little while. So I want to challenge myself and write a third book about somebody who's got an issue in the mind. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm retired, and so it's a good way to, and I've just started another novel now and doing it in a different kind of way. So it's been neat.
There you go. So what's the future hold? Any more books in the future? Anything you're working on or cooking up?
I started a novel, and then I got waylaid. And then I picked up a book, Chris. I ordered a book that was written in the first person. The guy's talking about, I did this, I saw that. So I said, well, I'm stuck on this book. why don't I restart the book and write it in the first person?
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and I'm back having fun.
All right.
So, it keeps me out of trouble.
Something different perspective on to give you some fresh
Yeah.
ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what comes of that and what comes out. As we go out, give people a final pitch out to pick up your book and where they can find out more about you.
I've got a website, dallastalkauthor.com, and you can click on that and order directly from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. And I think when they go on the website, I would encourage them, and folks do this anyway, to read the reviews of the book. There are about 46 reviews of this book, which is, I think, interesting for a first novel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a 4.9 or so rating with Amazon, which is, you can't do a whole lot better than that. So I'm pleased with the results, and I think if they go on there and look at the reviews, they'll be encouraged to buy it. I think they'll enjoy it, and I hope they'll write a review, good or bad. I hope they'll write a review.
There you go. Well, please write a review, folks. Get in there, check it out, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much for coming to the show, Dallas. We really appreciate it.
Chris, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss won the TikTok, and all those crazy places, the internet. If you're watching this, be sure to watch the final version on the Chris Voss Show, where we will put the two ends together. We always, we should have had more sacrifices that week to the internet gods. We usually, take and, I don't know, we put some cockroaches. I think can I kill cockroaches and no one's going to be offended?
We
put some cockroaches in a bowl and, I can't kill?
No.
I can't win. We imagine sacrificing cockroaches to the gods. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. I was going to say